All right, hello, boys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about our typography portrait that we're working on. Now, I've got another tutorial on here that's on your classroom here where it's talking about how we set up everything
All right, so I'm recording it.
for doing the rock here, where we're going in, we're doing some manipulation of the actual typography, and where we end up doing some things like our picture of Marilyn, where we're actually bending the type into the shapes of the eyes and the lips and the hair and whatnot. And another technique that I use in there is where I make shapes and I fill a path. So that's kind of like what we're talking about today. And with that technique, you can do like here on Steve Carell, where they filled up his hair here or his bonnet here. That's manipulation there on the Joker here. Like here on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the student went and made a path here and then filled that with a whole block of type there in order to do it, and just changes the colors. Same thing with Winnie the Pooh here. So let's talk a little bit about how we do that. So I'm gonna bounce over here to Photoshop. I've got a project started here. There's a picture of the rock here. And again, we're talking about this area up here. Let's see here. And there's another one of Johnny Cash. You can see I've started that one. That's not quite as far along. But over here, and I'm working on Fred Flintstone here. Just a more simplistic kind of idea. And you're welcome to do a cartoon character if you want for this project. So on here, here's how this basically works. We have our pen tool. If you remember from one of our first projects, we got our paths and shapes, right? So a path is basically right here. The pen tool makes and changes paths, and it makes these invisible lines that we can turn into shapes or do a number of things with. Okay, so let's get a pen tool here, and here's how the pen tool works. So I just click once, I click again, it makes a straight line. And let's just say I go like this. Here, let's just turn off Fred for right now. Okay. Now, here's how this works. I can get in here, let's zoom in a little bit closer, and I can get my typography tool. Okay. Now, if I just go and I hover near this, if I just clicked right now, it would just start making a block of text. Okay. Now, with that path there, as I get close to it, I get that little line right there. That swish line there says, would you like to type upon that path? And I say, heck yeah, I would. And I click on there. Okay. So when I click on there, it starts putting type on there. Okay. Now I'm going to type in caps Fred Flintstone. Okay. Now, whatever I have held in here in this type is going to constrain right here. Okay, you see three dots. I got an X, that's the first, the beginning, circle is the middle, and a like bullseye shape for the end. Okay, now I can't see everything I typed because on that path, it just filled in wherever I had it held, right? So I'm going to grab my path selection tool here. Okay, there's two in this box here in this drawer. There's a direct selection and a path selection. I'm going to get the path selection tool, and I'm going to go hang over here. Now when I hang next to that side of the type there, you'll see it has just an arrow there. If I go in the middle, it's got an arrow for both sides to say if I want to pull it this way. And if I go over here, it'll have just one where I can pull that all the way out. And you can see I'm pulling that out, and I'm pulling it all the way down. Okay, now right now on my typography, I'm going to go back to my type tool. I'm going to keep going on here. Okay, so I'm going to click right at the end of this type here. Now right now I'm set to be in the middle, right? So if I set it over here to be left justified, it'll take it to the left. If I say right justified, it'll take it to the right. See, it does some wonky stuff there. Okay, but if I want to keep typing on this, that's all I do is type, keep going with Fred Stone, and I can just keep going as far as I want. Okay, I can also Command A, Command C, and just click on the end there and hit Command V, and it'll fill it all the way in there. Okay, so one other thing that it does here with the direct selection tool, I can also go here and I can also take this type and I can pull it above or below. Okay, so that's a little bit on the line. Now let's do one more thing here. Let's get the pen tool, and now that's on a line, right? So if I was, say, trying to make a line like around this tie on Fred Flintstone, I could go around with a path, I could trace that, and then I could type that along there with the typography tool and have that. Okay, so let's take in to get our pen tool here, and the other way I can fill a shape. So let's go here, and I'm just going to make a shape. I'm just going to make a wonky shape here. And then when I come close, see that little circle says I'm going to close that shape. Now I've got a shape. Again, I'm going to get my typography tool. Okay, now again, if I hold right up next to the line, it's going to give me that swish line that says, would you like to type on that path? But if I go inside, it puts a circle around it and says, would you like to type inside of it? And I say, well, heck yeah, I would. And I click one time and it'll start filling in inside everywhere it can fill in there. Okay, now the smaller I get that type, the more it's going to fill more exacting in that type. Okay, so right now I'm at an 8 point here. So I'm going to hit Command V, say, and just put my Fred Flintstone type in there, right? And let's select all, and let's make that 4 point there. Now I got it at 4 point, okay? And then I'll say Command C, Command V, and I'm just going to keep saying Command V. That'll fill that all up in there. And as long as I keep pushing, it'll keep going until it fills up there completely, and you can see I've filled that shape. Now that's all super duper, right? What can I do with that? And also, so if I wanted to make a shape of like that tie, I could fill it. And if I wanted to change the color there, I could say Command A. Get back on my type layer there. This guy. So let's go grab it all, and I could say change the color to say the color of that tie, exactly like that. And so that I would have that. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually put this into practice here. So let me go ahead and delete that there. And we'll go ahead and delete these guys here. Delete that one, and we'll get this one here. Is that my line here? And delete that. Okay, now you could fill and use whatever typography you want on here. So I've got this started on here. So let's say I want to fill this tie. Let's do that. Okay, so let's get our pen tool. Okay, now the pen tool has several different settings in there. You go in there, there's a whole bunch in there. So I would just suggest using the first two. Just a regular pen tool. Front pen tool does this. I can click and I can trace any shape. All right, so and Command Z goes back. So I could go on here and I could click around here and I could do this. But what the pen tool is really good at is making perfect curves. And once you get good at this, I can make most shapes with just a few clicks, as opposed to putting a whole bunch of lines around there. More about that in just a second. Okay, so let's say I want to do that, and I'm going to get my type tool here. And again, if I hang on the outside, I can type on that line, but I want to type inside of there. I want to fill it with that. It's going to fill it all with that. And I'm going to say Command V to fill it with that type I already got. I can say Command A. I'm going to change that color to that blue of his tie. I push OK. I'll push Command C and Command V, and I'll just keep doing that until that fills all the way up to the bottom of that shape. And then when I turn that off, you see I've got that shape all filled in there, like I have there. There, I've got a line around that. Okay, it's a really crude line around that. That isn't very good. So let's see, let's try to redo that there. Let's take that, and I'm going to take that and throw that away. So let's go here, and I like to just turn things off as I do this, right? So if I'm going to trace that, I'm just going to get my pen tool. I'm going to trace that one more time. I'll go around here, click and pull, and I can hold Option, and it puts me back at a point where I can pull, Option, click there. And using the pen tool is, once you get to using it, it is a spectacular tool, and you learn you can trace things very quickly once you learn the hang of it. So there's that. Now this time I'm going to get my type tool, and I want to type on the outside of that. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to hit that Command V tool there. And I will have to get in here close so I can see what I'm doing. I want to have that black line. Oh, there it is down there. Okay. So I'm going to click Command A, and we're going to change that just to a black so we can see it a little better. Okay, and then I'm going to get here and Command C, Command V, 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 and I'll paste that all the way around there so that when I turn on my other two, I start to have that. Now, this is going to take you a little bit of time, but you can see I've got some thread on here, okay? Now, usually I would suggest, in order to make your picture work, you see I've got my hair up here, and I'm using that up here, and I went an actual word up here as opposed to using this fill. So usually a combination of these two techniques are what is going to be the best option for you. Okay, so eventually you'll have your Fred Flintstone. You can see I'm not too far off from getting to a very recognizable character there by just outlining and filling those shapes with just those paths. Okay, so take your time, get your pen tool. Again, you can make your pen tool, and you can either hit the pen tool with either just a regular pen tool that marks straight and curve lines, or you can also just click around. But the more points you have, the more. You can also get just the freehand fram tool, and anywhere you draw, it's going to make your shape like that. Either one will work for you to fill or draw on top of with typography for this project. All right, that's all I have today. Everybody do good work, and I will see you in class.